Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for the Vicki Boutin design team and I'm very excited about this layout because it's actually a very simple background, but we're gonna use foil. So my idea is I've seen quite a few projects online, and one of the beauties of Vicki's products is that you can actually foil with them. So I'm going to show you a quick background that you're going to actually is going to be a lot of repetition of what Vicki has created on her Friday lives. I'm just going to add a few touches of my own. So I'm starting with a piece of foundation paper and the neutral art crayon set, and I want to keep my background fairly simple, fairly plain, very neutral. So I'm going with that. There's two tones in the neutral set. One is a little bit on the goldish tone, kind of a yellowish, and then the other one is, I'm gonna say, it looks more like a brown mixed with an orange. So I'm gonna use those two tones. You're gonna see that I pull my glass mat, so I'm scribbling the crayon on top of the glass mat. I'm gonna dilute it with some water. I'm gonna use a piece of acetate to transfer the diluted ink from the glass mat onto my foundation paper. I'm gonna make sure that I add most of my mixed media to the right hand side of my layout. So you're gonna see that I'm using a combination between my watercolor brush and also the acrylic piece of the acrylic sheet, in this case, or the piece of acetate, to just help me smoosh the ink or kind of move it around. So once you're gonna see that that's all I'm gonna take, but I'm gonna combine three colors for my background. I'm using, like I said, those two tones from the neutral set, and then I'm gonna bring the peach tone from the warm set. Those are the only colors that I'm gonna use. I want to keep it very fairly warm and neutral to the background so that the foiling is gonna show nicely on it. So you're gonna see, again, pretty simple. I'm gonna just scribble the crayon on the glass mat, and I gotta tell you that I love it. Like I said before, I think it was in the previous project, I've had it for a while, never used it, but I thought that I better use it, otherwise it's just gonna be sitting there collecting dust, and it's actually pretty cool to work with. So again, just going back to the layout, I'm using foundation paper just in case I didn't mention before. If you don't have foundation paper, then go ahead and add gesso to a plain piece of cardstock. It's just gonna give you a better area to work with the mixed media, and it's going to keep your paper as, I'm not going to tell you completely flat, but flatter than if you were not using any, you hadn't prepped the paper, because you add in water, so water is going to make your paper buckle regardless of what I do. Plus the effect that you create on foundation paper or on a gesso cardstock is different if you were adding just the pigment onto the cardstock, so just keep that in mind. So once again, I'm just combining the colors, and like I said before, I am adding them just to the right of my layout. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna create kind of like I want to say like a little rectangle blob on the right hand of my page. And once I'm happy with the size of it, I don't want to cover the entire page. I just want enough color so that it pops from the back of the layers and also the picture. Once I am happy with what it looks like, I'm actually gonna dilute some of the crayon straight on my acrylic a little piece of acrylic, and then I'm just gonna drop this I'm gonna scribble the crayon on the piece of acetate. I'm gonna add water to dilute it, and then I'm just gonna tilt the acetate so that the liquid watercolor, in this case, just drops onto the page and creates those big splatters. That is all it's gonna take. I'm gonna make sure that it's that I set it aside and then it dries completely before I can continue working. You can use a heat gun if that is your choice. I just like to make it dry on its own, and then until then I'm working on something else actually. So when it's already dried, my next step is I'm gonna actually stamp with my stencil. So again, I'm going back to the neutral crayon, and that's like the one, like I said, it's like an orangey tone in the neutral set. And again, I'm going to scribble it onto a piece, I'm scribbling on my glass mat, sorry, and I'm going to add some water just to dilute it. I'm going to make sure that this mixture that I'm created is quite diluted, but I'm gonna add quite a bit of our crayon because I want to make sure that it's a little bit darker than the background. So I'm gonna scribble a little bit more of the art crayon just so that I can deepen the tone in the stamping. So you're gonna see that it's darker than what I used before, and I'm gonna make sure that there's plenty of water so that it's runny. And make sure that it's quite runny, but I'm making sure at the same time, like I said, that is a darker tone than what I have on the background already. So I'm using one of the newer, no, I'm still using the Storyteller color study. Should be arriving this week here at my apartment. So once I have my my liquid watercolor ready, I'm gonna go ahead and pretty much think of it the same as using an ink pad. Instead of using a stamp, I'm actually going to use the stencil. So I'm using the one that has all those little lines kind of creating triangles. I think of it as like what do you call it? A stained glass window. So I'm going to just kind of dip, like I said, think of it as a stamp. So I'm dipping some of it onto the watercolor. I am going to make sure to clean the frame, that all the watercolor that's in the frame. I don't want to have that line. I just want to have whatever is inside of the frame. So once I've saturated that area, like, you know, those lines that form the triangle, I'm gonna go ahead, flip it onto my page, and then I'm gonna use a piece of paper towel. I'm using a napkin just to press the stencil onto my layout so that all the liquid watercolor that I had in the back of the stencil creates the marking just like a stamp. And you're gonna see that I'm gonna add a little bit more. I'm just gonna stretch a little bit of the stenciling or the stencil stamping just so that I cover a lot of the background, and then I'm going to extend it a bit towards the left of it just because I know that I'm gonna have to add my title in that area. And then just to finish, because I have that left over, I'm actually gonna add some of the splatters of that mixture just to bring that second tone that I created. Very simple. If you are afraid of dipping your stencil in the liquid, then use a brush. You saw me, I just painted the back of my stencil with the brush with the watercolor. Works the same way. Again, I'm gonna set it aside to dry, and now I'm gonna go into the foiling part. Now the medium that I use to foil is matte acrylic gel. So you're gonna see that I've added a little bit onto my glass mat, and then I'm gonna bring actually the star stencil from Storyteller and my stencil brush. I want to create kind of a scribble look to the stars. So I know that when I pick up the matte acrylic gel with the brush and I go on a circular motion, I'm gonna create those bristle or those brush strokes inside of the star, and what's the look that I'm going for. If you want to have like a completed star, then use a palette knife to run your matte acrylic gel on top of the stencil on the paper. So again, I'm just gonna make sure that where I add my stars are in a specific area. So you're gonna see that I'm creating kind of a triangle on my page. So that means that I'm gonna sit my picture right in the middle of that triangle. So I'm just, again, using a stencil brush, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of the matte acrylic gel, and then I'm gonna go on a circular motion on top of the star stencil, and that's gonna create a very light impression of the matte acrylic gel on my paper. Is gonna give me those bristle marks, and I'm gonna make sure that I set it aside to dry. You can go ahead and use a heat gun if you want to, but be careful because you can make the matte acrylic gel bubble. Now here's when it comes the fun part. My camera started breaking at this time, so you're gonna see that I already passed it once. I like passing my foil twice. So I'm using a Heidi Swap Mink for mine. You can use a laminator, it works the same way. I'm setting my Mink at set 3. I usually use the folder that comes with the machine, and then I add a piece of parchment paper in between. That just helps with the pressure. And I'm using this paper, is gold to pink foil, I think that's the name of it, and it's gonna give me the nice combination of the gold and the pink when I foil. And I put it through once through my machine, and usually set it back so it goes twice to the machine. I just want to make sure that it once creates the foiling, and the second part it flattens my paper. So once I pull it out, let it cool off a bit, and then I peel it off and I have my background ready. And then you're gonna see right now, like I said, my camera started breaking out at this time. So all I'm gonna do is just bring the same tones that I have in the stars and on the background onto the picture. I'm gonna back it with a piece of the mariposa paper, and then I'm bringing that stripe paper. I think it's called, no, it's not the sequence, but it's the one that has all the blue protea on the A side, and then the purple paper is the mosaic paper, the B side of it. And then I'm just gonna bring tones of pink and a little bit of the peach tone onto the layout. So you're gonna see that that's my daughter. Unfortunately, due to COVID, there was no graduation for her. We had no prom, no graduation, nothing. And my daughter started to get her international the IB title. I can't pronounce the second word. I think it's International Baccalaureate. That's her diploma that she achieved, both of the diplomas. So instead of having any sort of ceremony, she was just called to come and pick up her diplomas, which is pretty sad. There was nothing. We don't even have a grad picture, nothing. So I took the picture of her. She had all her diplomas or her awards. So I just took a picture of her and I'm gonna document. And that's why I'm using all these shiny gold stars for the background. So you're gonna see that I'm just gonna bring elements that remind me of school. So I'm bringing one of the library cards, I'm bringing some of the tags, and I'm actually gonna bring the book from the Storyteller ephemera, and that's where I'm gonna anchor my title to. So the title is gonna come from the puffy word sticker, and then you're gonna see that, like I said before, I'm just adding elements that have black and white, the peach, the pink tone, just because I want to keep it super monotone. You're not gonna see me glue the stuff in place because my camera broke down right before I started doing that, but pretty much nothing changes from this. It's gonna stay the same. The only thing you're not gonna see is me adding foam adhesive behind the layers. And I'm making sure that when I add embellishments to that, I'm gonna bring some that keep the colors, you know, the yellow, the peach, the kind of terracotta tone. And also I'm gonna make sure that it has some foil just to continue that look. I'm gonna bring some of the little circles with the stars from the chipboard stickers. I'm gonna bring some hearts from the puffy stickers. I actually cut one of the 4x6 cards from the paper, I can't remember the name of it, and I'm gonna trim it so that I have the little label, so it looks like one of those files that you have from school. And then like I said, I want to make it very school, like all the things that you find in school. And once I have that in place, that's pretty much it. I haven't added my lines with journal. I think that I'm gonna keep it fairly clean, and I might do a companion layout next to it when I can add lots of journaling, because I'll have a lot to say about this. And that's about it. You're gonna see right now, right about here is where my camera completely shut off, and I think I need to switch into my second camera for my camera is old, so I need to switch into my second camera to keep recording. But I love how this turned out. I hope you try it. As always, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. Don't forget to jump onto the blog to see more details and close-ups. And as always, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you soon, and hopefully next time I can show you some color study layout. So take care, guys.